up and sit down.
Welcome to the Health and Wealth Podcast with your hosts, Tim and Carter.
What's trending, Enrichers? Carter Wilcoxon, founder of CSI Financial Group here, with my co-host and former wealth advisor, Tim James, founder of
ChemicalFreeBody.com and your new health advisor. This is the show where we reveal the connection between physical and financial abundance.
Hey, welcome back, Enrichers. Carter Wilcoxon coming to you from sunny, warm Phoenix, Arizona. And we're going to get to our guest in just a second. Very excited for our guest that we have today. But pre-show, we were talking a little bit about how it's not really springtime where she's coming in from. But in Phoenix, Arizona, we are sneaking up on triple digits, but it is that time of year here. So, and as normal, I am joined by my fantastic wealth of health information, chemical-free body himself, Mr. Chemical-free body himself, Tim James. Timmy, how are you, buddy?
Good, man. I'm just thinking about triple-digit weather already. I can't believe that's even possible. It's been, it's Phoenix, but I'm in Eastern Oregon. It does get that hot here in the summer a little bit, but my God, you guys deal with it 24/7 over there in the summer.
Yeah, well, it's the one thing about the summers here is that it's like, are they ever going to end? Are they ever going to end? And then it's the craziest thing, though. Every year, like clockwork, it goes from like 110 to 70, almost overnight. It's the craziest thing. It really is nuts. So anyway, we get a little bit of it starts going, 80s and then 90s, and we get the triple digits. So at least it's not the other way around where we go from 70 to 120 overnight either. So we got that going for us. So, hey, Enrichers, we are very thankful that you have joined us again for another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast Show. And let's go ahead and bring in our guest, Jill Carr, coming in from Michigan, which is what I was talking about just a while ago. She was saying that it's not quite springtime there in Michigan as we are in triple digits. But Jill, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So, and you are a CFP and a CPA, right?
Correct.
All right. So, Stevens Wealth Management Group there in, what part of Michigan is it exactly? Flint, is that right?
Yes, Flint, Michigan.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So, Flint, Michigan, that's outskirts of Detroit. Am I got that right? Or?
Well, it's kind of far. I mean, it's about a little over an hour to Detroit from here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But if I was going to go to Flint from Phoenix, my guess would be I would fly into Detroit.
That is a good guess. Yes.
Okay.
But we do have an airport in Flint, so you could connect somewhere and then get to Flint that way. But Detroit flies direct to Phoenix, I know for a fact.
Yes, it does. Well, I can remember the very first time I ever flew to Detroit. Literally the weekend I got there, they opened up this brand new wing. Now this is 20 years ago, maybe 18, 20 years ago, something like that. And it was like all the talk about, I was getting the rental car. Oh yeah, we just opened this wing of the airport up and everything. There was like a big deal, but it was really, really nice. Honestly, I was not expecting it to be that nice in Detroit. I'd never been there.
Right. Sure.
Yeah, but it was nice. Well, thank you so much.
Hey man, I'm actually excited because Flint, Michigan is very famous for something. You know what that is?
I do. I know what it's famous for.
I'm interested to hear your answer.
A water crisis.
Okay. Yes. That's usually what I lead with, Flint, water crisis, Flint. So yes, we're very famous for that. Infamous, perhaps,
Yeah. I remember there was like officials over there repeatedly dismissed claims that Flint, Michigan's water was making people sick. So guess what? Working class people, the residents took action, and then they found out that there was a contamination crisis.
Oh yeah, it's a big deal here.
So
that made national headlines. I actually refer to Flint, Michigan quite a bit here and there in my talks when we talk about water, because people are like, I'm trying to tell people that water's polluted everywhere you go, and I'm like, think about Flint, Michigan. You think that's an isolated event? There's just like, it's pretty bad today. But anyway, I'm excited to have somebody on from Flint. So
yeah. It's pretty cool. So, hey, let's go ahead and jump on into it. Our enrichers, they enjoy being able to hear the journey of someone, especially as credentialed as a CPA and a CFP, a lot of schooling that goes on with that. And I know that you're also part of the AI CPA. And I think I saw that on your website as well, or in your bio. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about how does one go from where you're at today, going back, like where did the journey start for you on, the number crunching maybe, or, what was it that, attracted you to the financial services business in the first place? If you can remember the very maybe first direction, maybe there was an influence or whatever it might have been, share with the enrichers how that started.
Sure. So I always like to tell people that I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, because I went to college and I got a degree in technical communication, basically, which kind of has nothing to do with accounting or financial services. But at the time that I was graduating college, my dad was retiring early from his job, and they had to go out and kind of find a financial advisor. And that was really my first experience in that this was even a thing, that people could do, is talk about money and manage money and have financial planning conversations and everything. And my mom really took an interest in trying to become more financial literate. And as a result, I kind of watched her do that. She was listening to like Susie Orman and stuff, and reading Dave Ramsey books and things like that. So I kind of became interested in it myself. And I made somewhat of a pivot to actually work at a financial planning firm not long after I graduated, which, interestingly enough, is the firm I now work for. So I started out at this firm back 20 years ago as like an assistant person. And when I was there, I decided to go back to school. And I originally was going for a finance degree, but I ended up taking some accounting classes and really liked those. So I changed my major to accounting. I got the second bachelor's degree in accounting, and ultimately decided that I needed to leave the financial planning firm and go into accounting to get my CPA, do an internship. And that just kind of led me to be in accounting for quite a bit. So, I did like the numbers, and there's some crossover too with serving clients, and talking about their money. So I was a CPA for 5 years in a public firm. And then I had a child and decided that tax season hours, I didn't want to work those anymore. So I made a change at that time to work for the IRS. So talk about a difference of work environment. So going from public accounting, working many, many hours a week, to the government, which, they don't work a lot of hours a week. They're lucky if they work 40. So I don't mean to slam any government people here. They work very hard. I was very pleased with the people I work with, but it was definitely a change in how things went. So I actually got kind of bored at the IRS. So at that time, I had been there 4 years or so, and I saw something from my former boss at the financial planning firm that I worked at. She had won some award, and I used that to kind of weasel my way into talking about a job, because I'd always kind of wanted to get back to financial planning, but I didn't want to start over at the bottom. I didn't want to door knock or do something, we're cold calling to get clients or things like that. I wanted to immediately start helping in a way with clients. And so I networked and, had lunch with her and kind of weaseled my way into a job. And then ended up working for the financial planning firm again, Stevens Wealth, and got my CFP and pivoted to becoming an advisor for the last several years. So.
Wow. So, so you originally started there. Now, how did you get to there again in the first place? Like, what was the origination? Were you referred there? or did you like get in the yellow pages or?
Yeah, that was back when people actually put ads in the paper for jobs. So they're dating myself here. So yeah, I answered a blind ad. It didn't even have the name of the company in it. It was just like a entry level assistant position at this financial planning firm. And I thought, that's great. I want to get my foot in the door, and learn about this. So yeah.
And that was right out of college. Is that right?
Well, I worked for a year as a technical writer. And so then that was in Illinois. At the time I was dating my now husband long distance. He was in Michigan. I was in Illinois, and eventually decided to move back to Michigan. And that was kind of also right around 9/11. And so I, had decided that life was too short to do something that I didn't want to do, being a technical writer and writing boring software instruction manuals for the rest of my life. So I thought it's, I'm gonna try to do this finance thing and see how that goes. So yeah.
So you did that, and then somehow it came back full circle where now that's where you're at.
Right. So never burn bridges. That's a lesson. Always use your network.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So what was it like, just out of curiosity? How long were you at the IRS again?
I was there a total of 5 years.
Total of 5 years. All right. So was there, I'm assuming, especially at that time, right, there was an office that you would go to and everybody went there, and was there a lot of security there, like to get in? And because you picture the IRS like it's just like this building somewhere that nobody knows about unless you know about it.
Yeah, actually it's very much like that. So by design, the IRS buildings are kind of not advertised really where they are, especially if they're not a center where taxpayers go in for help. Like the one in Flint, which I was based out of, is actually a taxpayer service center. So you could come there, if you have questions on your tax return and get help from someone. But many of the offices are not like that, where they don't have people that help, the Joe public. And so it's just IRS employees that go there, and they kind of don't put the name on the building. You got to know it's there. It's like a secret club. It is always secure. They always have a guard. They always have a code you have to use to get in the building. And they're very focused on security. There's even,
you have to go through a metal detector, right?
Well, only at the ones that are really big. So like there's one in Detroit that you would have to do that too. But I will tell a great story from when I started. So about security. So one of the IRS offices, we went to different ones for training when I first started, and I had some other people that started at the same time as me, and we were training, and I had to make some kind of phone call or something. So I went into a conference room and I couldn't find the light switch. So I'm hitting things on the wall. And apparently there is a button on the wall there that you can hit if you have, say, a violent taxpayer or someone who is going to attack you or whatever. And the police come running. So I hit that, and it caused this huge problem in the office. People were very upset, and they're thinking, this new idiot employee, starting things off the wrong way. So yeah, they're very focused on security.
Wow. Yeah. So it's a very incognito type of a location then.
Right. So, and also then, so I worked in the large business division, which, there's people that handle like everyday mom and pop tax returns. And then there's people that handle kind of smaller business ones. And then there's the large businesses. So companies that are on the Fortune 500 or whatever and have quite a bit in revenue. Those companies, the IRS basically moves into your company. So they will audit you. They come to your place of business and have an office there. So I was on a team that went to, and then it would rotate, they would rotate the people every so often, but you were on like a long a long audit, basically. So you would come to that place of business and do your work there.
So, so expand on that a little bit, if you don't mind. Now, would that just be in Michigan, even though obviously IRS, right? That's a federal agency, right? Would you travel to other places, or was it just in Michigan?
So I was just in Michigan. I mean, they do try to keep you geographically close to your POD. They call it point of duty or place of duty. It was very military like in the jargon. So yeah, so you needed to be, within a certain distance basically, so you could travel there in a day. So it wouldn't be like someone from another state was coming and staying and auditing from a different state. So
gotcha. I guess that would make sense for sure, but I was just curious if since it is, a federal, entity, if maybe that you might travel. Of course, I don't know how far where you're at. I guess, the close, maybe you'd go to Ohio, possibly. That would be the closest, or? I
think they just have IRS offices spread out enough that, they would cover.
She ain't going to tell you, Carter. It's a secret.
Oh, dang it. I was hoping.
Right. Not going to tell you.
Yeah. They don't want the mad bomber to show up because he got taxed and lost his wife and his life.
Exactly.
Perfect. Well, hey, one last thing before we go to our commercial break. Talk a little bit about, and I'm just filling up my glass water container here. Speaking of,
well, we're glad you said it because it's one of two things happening right there, and I can't tell over the airwaves.
Right. Want to assume the best here. So
yeah. So you do quite a bit of writing, right? Some blogging or something. Did I read that in your bio?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk a little bit. Is that like a passion? Because I think CPA. I think, oh, you're a number cruncher. Then I read this that you like writing. I'm like, that seems like two different, sides of the brain.
Yeah. I would say that I am kind of a mixed up person that way. In that, I did go to school, I said originally for technical communication. So it was basically English at a technical college, major. So I did a lot of writing. I mentioned that I wrote instruction manuals my very first job out of college. So I kind of had this writing background, and I do have a bit of a passion for it. I like to be able to explain complicated financial issues in a more down-to-earth way. I feel like a lot of people in our industry, they're very smart and they talk smart, whereas not everyone might get the jargon they're putting down. So yeah,
they maybe a little bit too much industry jargon and data dumping as opposed to like, just give me the layman's terms.
Right.
Yeah.
Speak English.
Exactly. You're like, ooh.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, go ahead, Tim James. I'm sorry.
Well, I like that segment. It was a good story about the IRS, how you called in the Marines came in and the National Guard came in probably.
Right.
And the local police, the FBI, the SWAT team, the bomb squad, they probably all showed up.
Oh, crazy.
Good story. All right. So let's do this. We'll take a quick break, and then we get back. We'll get into more of Jill's story and what she's doing to help her clients save their money in retirement. We'll be right back.
Estate planning. What does that even mean? When the inevitable happens for everyone on this planet, your estate plan kicks into action. But first, let's start with what an estate is. An estate is simply everything you own. Now, here's the issue and what needs to be understood when this event occurs. You only have two choices on this plan. Number one, either you plan how your estate gets handed out and distributed to those you leave behind. Or number two, your state decides who gets everything you own. For the first time ever, you can now take complete and total control of this plan that you've been deprived of for most of your life and generations before you. You can get personalized assistance along the way with a team of specialists whose job it is to make sure you have true peace of mind. It's important to understand that estate planning is a journey, and rest assured that our team will be available to you all along the way and at every step. Welcome to eState Plan, home of the last estate plan you'll ever need. To learn more, make sure to reach out to your local advisor licensed with us or go to our website for more information.
What's up, Enrichers? Tim James here with my co-host Carter Wilcoxon in the house, back with I'm here with Jill Carr. And Jill, hey, or I guess we're both here with Jill. Wait a minute. All of us are here with Jill. Even
All
the
of us.
listeners. Let's make it a group effort here. So we're all here with Jill. Now, Jill, why don't you tell us a little bit about your practice and like what you enjoy in the financial, doing what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a practice in Flint, Michigan, like mentioned before. We're a big team oriented practice. So we do have one owner, but we have 4 or 5 financial advisors that work as a team. And so we're each assigned like a book of clients that we're kind of responsible for as the relationship manager, but we do discuss the clients with the rest of the office as a team. So we set our investment strategy as a team, and this is what we're doing for everyone, and then we can help each other in terms of if clients have complex issues that maybe we want to run past the team and find some options. So like was mentioned before, I'm a CPA. Someone else has their SEMA, so they know investment stuff more, and people have estate planning backgrounds and things. So we just tend to come at our clients with the strength of the team behind us.
It's like a mastermind approach, basically.
Right.
Like Napoleon Hill, that section in Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, exactly.
It's smart. It's smart. That's why do companies have board of directors? Well, one of the reasons is because, 10 heads is better than one.
Right.
There's 10, 5 people, 10 people on the board of directors, or you have your mastermind group and everybody's got different experiences. You might have a case where a client has a unique situation and you're like, well, I think I'm going to do this. And then Billy Bob over there's like, no, don't do it because of this. This happened. Like, oh, right. So there's a lot of value there. We actually do that in our coaching program at Chemical Free Body. So I meet with my coaches and we just go over our client load and share and stuff like that. And then we can all help each other out. So they're actually getting like a bunch of coaches coaching them, even though they think they only have one. So it's kind of the same thing. And it sounds like what you guys are doing.
Right. I always tell my clients, then it's not just me making rogue decisions about their investments. We're kind of running it past a group of people and making sure that we're giving sound advice and everything. So
yeah, so you're doing a lot of think tanking, so to speak, and I would venture a guess that your clients appreciate the fact that they don't feel like it's just one individual, even though maybe they gravitate towards one of the team members more than another. They probably appreciate the fact that like it's not, if something happens to Jill or if something happens to whoever another team member's name might be, at least I know I've got this entire team that's helping me in all of these different areas. So they've got a comprehensive approach and that think tank mentality.
Right. And we actually did go through this where we lost a team member. An advisor passed away a couple of years ago. And so the clients that he had managed, were initially scared because they're maybe thinking no one is watching my money, this guy has, but then they soon realized, we kind of said it. No, like we're very familiar with your situation. We've been talking about you for years. So, we're
cool.
very aware of stuff. So it was a smoother transition, I think, than it could have been. So
yeah, I'm sure that had to be challenging, but that just proved the point that the model obviously works, right? You didn't lose the client because of the advisor that maybe they felt like that was the one that was engaging with them the most.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So how does what's the clientele encompass, and like how do who's bringing in the clientele, and how are you guys getting the clientele?
Yeah, sure. So I would say that we try to concentrate on kind of 3 types of clients. or at least when we looked at our book, these are the clients that we have the majority of and we like working with because we can really add value to them. So one of them would be retirees, or even we would include like people who are maybe 5 years from retirement in that group, or retired. And then we can, help them with strategies to make sure they have enough to retire, their income, and tax strategies to kind of mitigate things with that. We also have business owners as kind of our subgroup, because we can do a lot with how we can help them think about their tax strategies and techniques and complex estate planning and things like that, succession planning. And then we have what we would call Henrys, I guess, the high earners, not retired yet. That's what we call it, as opposed to not rich yet. So they're not retired, but they make a good income and they need to know direction for kind of what they should do with their money. And we talk about how, if you're thinking about flying a plane and you are off course by a couple of degrees, it can really take you way off course from the distance traveled. So if you're young, we can kind of steer you in the right direction so that you end up where you want to be. So
yeah, that final destination. It's kind of like, we use the same analogy like with like golf. Tim always thinks it's funny. I always get golf involved somehow, some way. But,
it is.
But you did it because that's exactly right. So the golf ball is on like the driver face for like a millisecond. But if it's off like one little bit of a degree, and I'm not even talking about like a degree, like an eighth of a degree could be the difference of being in the middle of the fairway and being out of bounds, right? So
right.
Because that distance travel, to your point, right? So you want to be able to make sure that you're steering them in the right direction. And the sooner you start steering them, the better off they're going to be for their final destination.
Exactly.
Yeah. So whenever how does the team effort get involved? Is there a difference between someone like who's a Henry or someone who's a retiree on what team is being brought in? Or which team members, I guess, are more, or are you always involved?
Well, no, it does depend. So we really do try to think about personality fit too. And I will say that we used to kind of be just hodgepodge, whoever had time in their schedule, it's kind of, okay, you take this client or whatever. But now we're really trying to focus on niching. And so I'm going to focus more on retirees. A couple other advisors are going to be like the business owner people. And then one advisor is going to focus on the younger people because they're younger. So, but that doesn't mean, that we wouldn't adjust in terms of personality and stuff too. So we do try to think about that, like who is the best fit for this client. So
and thank you for that. That really helps me get a little better grasp on it. So I saw also on your website, you're in Michigan, but you have, is it an office also in Florida, or where's the Florida connection with you guys?
Yeah, we do have a small office in Florida. We do have one advisor that is based 100% in Florida. She travels quite a bit though to other states. So the story with that is we used to have a Texas office also, and then we decided to close the physical location, but we still have a lot of clients based out of Texas. So the Florida advisor will fly to Texas and kind of meet with everyone in a span of a week or so with that. She's got some pocket of clients in New York too from that. So, and then the owner of Stevens, so Sherry, she has some clients in Florida that she will often fly to Florida and stay and kind of meet with clients, at that office too. But we do have one advisor who's 100% based out of Tampa area. And then we found that with the pandemic, though, we weren't really using Zoom before, but now everyone uses Zoom. And so it's been nice because I think we used to just call clients, because we do have clients all over. I mean, we have a lot of Michigan clients, but we do have clients that live all over the US. And so then the ability to meet with them virtually really makes it so the world is smaller, and, it doesn't even matter that we're not physically there. So.
Yeah. So was that something that you guys had to adapt and adjust to over the last couple of years, or was that something you were already sort of starting going down that path?
Well, we had started going down it, but very minimally. So, and I think we thought our older clients wouldn't adapt to that, but they did, easily. So it was just something we didn't. Before the pandemic, we were sporadically using a virtual meeting, but then it became very important to do that, because everything was shut down. So then we realized, oh, this is great, and it saves people time. They don't have to drive anywhere. And, because even the local clients, I have clients that are younger and working and don't want to take the time to drive to our office for a meeting, and they're perfectly happy to have a virtual meeting, and it's great.
So what are you guys doing currently then? Is it more word of mouth? Is it more like educational types of things? How are you getting some of your like new client during your client acquisition, and especially in light of the fact that, a lot of things have gone virtual, and I think people are growing, like, expecting to do things more virtually.
Right. And we used to do more client events, and then obviously the last couple of years it's been minimal. I don't even know if we've had a client event in the last 2 years. I know we're trying to plan something this year, but primarily we gotten clients through existing client referrals. Mm-hmm. So we do a good job for our clients, and they have friends and family that need advisors and recommend us. Or we've cultivated relationships with, centers of influence like CPA firms and estate planning attorneys, and get clients that way. But we are trying to dive into the marketing piece. So we're looking at now hiring a full service marketing firm to kind of help us with our digital presence and drive clients to us that way.
Nice. Awesome. So it sounds like to me that you were kind of surprised on some of the older generations' willingness and acceptance to do things a little bit more virtually. But I'm not surprised at all by that. We were early adopters on that, because of a lot of the things that we do, here at CSI Financial Group and Epic, leveraging technology every chance we get, but to make sure we never lose sight of the relationship aspect of it, right? So it sounds like it was a pleasant surprise for Stevens whenever that started happening on a regular basis.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I guess I shouldn't underestimate people, but I mean, I have an aunt who doesn't text, who's in her 70s and stuff. So, people do what they do, but we found pleasantly that they were willing to adapt and thought it was really cool, that we see each other through the computer and everything, or their phone. So
yeah, it's really become commonplace now. But then, you said we're doing all these Zoom meetings and things of that nature, and but you don't want to get that Zoom fatigue, right? And you don't want to lose that personal connection. And it is a lot easier to do meetings, and you can still, convey, you got body language, we're seeing each other right now, the enrichers, you're probably listening right now, but we're, if you're on YouTube watching this and everything, you can be able to see what it is that we're saying, and you can read the body language and things of that nature. And honestly, in my space where, we call across the country, with advisors for the longest time, you were conveying emotions across the phone lines. But for us, it was a huge benefit to have these virtual meetings now, because now you can really get a chance to see and understand and read the body language. And, a lot of times you don't know if you're on the phone call, if you're like having a conversation with someone, they're over here doing something else, or they're not even paying attention. Well, now, right, when you're having these virtual meetings, they have to pay attention, and otherwise you can catch them.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like it so much more. And it seems weird to think now that we just used to call people sometimes, as their annual review. And it's like, but that's so weird now to think about. So
Yeah.
you're right. The body language and it's so much easier to connect with people when you can see them. So
yeah, there's no doubt about it. So what does your model look like? Is it more like fee based, or is it, some financial planning based, or, give us a sense of how, I mean, obviously it's not charity work, right? You got to
right.
bring value, I know, but as a fee for service, I'm just wondering, what type of fee for service are you guys?
Sure. So for the longest time, we have been primarily charge a fee on assets under management. And we're slowly moving towards then charging fees for financial planning, or at least maybe separating it out a little bit, because we've determined that clients, especially younger clients, need the planning, and may not have a lot of assets. So we're developing a model where we have a planning fee essentially for managing their stuff and doing planning for them. And they may not have any assets, or they may have like a very small account, but the planning fee kind of covers everything. So.
Gotcha. So is that, that's something that's ebbing and flowing, so to speak? It's like in transition period, or is it based upon sometimes where the client or prospect might be in their journey in life?
Yeah, I would say it depends on where they are in their journey. It typically is more for the younger client. So, but we do offer fee for service plan, if someone needs just a one-time thing, but that's kind of rare for us to do. So we either we charge you a fee on your assets, and we do financial planning as part of that, or we have the financial planning fee where we're doing planning because you don't have assets with us. So.
Yeah, and it looks like, as I was reviewing your guys' website, it looks like you've got a large contingency of female, not just advisors, because there's a lot of female everything administratively or whatever. Is that something that was like by design because of who your founder is?
I don't know if it's by design or just we're kind of attracted to the idea. So yeah, our founder is female. She's very involved in trying to get females into the industry.
Mm-hmm.
More female financial advisors, because as you know, there's only like 15% of the advisors are women, and don't even look at the diversity on that, but so there's something to be said about, wanting to work for a female owned firm. And we do have several female financial advisors, including myself, that work there. Our COO is female. And then the majority of our administrative staff or client relationship associates are female too. So I don't know that it's like anything we intended, really. It's just that we tend to attract good quality women to work for us. So, yeah.
Well, I will say that, and I've been saying this for quite some time now, that we really need, and I think honestly, females in the space of financial planning, just because of the makeup of a lot of females are more on the empathetic side of the equation. And the other thing is, I don't know if you know the number of the next 25 years, the great wealth transfer, as they call it. But here's the thing: women live longer than men. That's just how it works, right?
Yeah, fact.
$84 trillion. I don't know if you know that that's a number or not. $84 trillion is going to be transferred to the next generation, but that usually starts with Mrs. Jones after Mr. Jones, because actuarially speaking. And I think that the larger contingency of female owned or more females in the financial services just serves you very well. And in fact, I know that here we try to, every chance we get, encourage more female advisors to get into the space that we're doing, more on the estate and, legacy planning side of the equation, because it's more attractive for, in the long run, females as clientele, right?
Right.
I mean, the numbers are staggering. I think it's 70% of the time, whenever you have a triggering event, and again, actuarially speaking, 70% of the time, the female will leave that male advisor that they're with and go to another female. So you're perfectly positioned as far as I'm concerned. And I think, honestly, I can say that the female advisors that work with us are some of the most successful that we have. That's not to say that we don't have plenty of male advisors that do a great job, but I think we would much prefer, if we had our druthers, to work and to nurture more female advisors if we could. And that 15% needs to go up to more like 50% as far as I'm concerned.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, we kind of feel the same way that you do, that females tend to be more empathetic or whatever. But like you said, that women clients often want a woman advisor. And so having the option, especially if they're someone who, I have several clients who are widows and maybe their husband handled the finances all the time while they were alive, and they didn't know or be interested in learning what they had, but then they're kind of forced to, once the death of their spouse occurs. And I think I treat it very seriously, that I want to, educate these women without overwhelming them, and not talk so much about the investments, because, that's where I think men and women tend to differ sometimes about like investment performance, and there's studies about the women being better investors because they buy and hold more than the males do. So, just trying to not say one is better or than the other, but like recognizing that there are differences, and how you tailor your approach to certain clients, basically.
Yeah. No, I couldn't have said it any better. So, well, I really appreciate all of the things that you guys are doing there at Stevens Wealth, and it looks like a great organization. I can see why there's a lot of clients, male and female, that are probably attracted to it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That's great.
So, Tim James, do you have anything on the financial side of the equation that you want to ask or elicit?
Well, I was just thinking about that. You guys were talking about wanting more female advisors. And I think we just have, there's a lot of things going on here, because for me, what I've learned in life is I don't take a side anymore. I don't look right or left. I'm not pro or anti. I really try to take a systems approach to things, right? That's one thing that I've learned in the last couple of years. And, I was a financial advisor for 7 years, and, I just think a lot of women, it's just, they're not interested in that part of it. They're just not. They want to go paint or do something like that. Maybe they're more artsy or whatever, which is fine. That's what makes the world go around. I was just thinking that these, there's also been the way things have been. It's like kind of been an old school kind of a guy's job, right? Men kind of do it. So I think more women are breaking into financial advising, and I think we'll kind of see that it'll level out wherever it's going to level out, because it's just the nature of the beast. It's just like when this whole thing about equality, some people, more women are nurses. It's the way it is. And you could try as much as you want, but you're never going to have as many men wanting to be a nurse as a woman. It's not going to happen, and we can't force it to happen. It's just going to be what it is. And I think the reason why women are more nurses is because it's a very caring job, and more women are more caring. They're more nurturing, and it's just, that's why they want to go do that. And less guys that's less in their nature. So it's going to balance itself out. But I think that Jill has positioned herself very well. And like you said, there's the huge wealth transfer. That's the reason why I got in the financial services industry originally, because I was like, wow, that's a lot of raindrops falling, right?
Yeah.
All I got to do is build a big net or something to catch them, right? Just got to get out in front of it, basically get in front of the wave and do a good job and help people. And then people in that wave will refer other people that want to get on the wave too, that are in that wave.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I'm going with this, but I just think there's we're going to see more women coming into it, but I don't know if it's going to end up being 50-50.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe it'll end up being 70-30, 70% women. Maybe guys will get the heck out. I don't know what it's going to be. But I just don't like to force things. It's just like whatever happens, everybody's equal. Let's just get over this.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this yesterday. I was on a run, and I was running up dude, I remember I told you I was doing trail running.
Yeah.
When I moved here to Eastern Oregon, I thought, well, dang it, I won't have this trail to run on that was down in Portland, but I'm in Eastern Oregon. I mean, I can just go up in the mountain and run up there, like where I used to hunt and stuff, which is fine. But I just thought it'd be cool to trail run. Well, 5 minutes from my house is this thing called Mount Emily Recreation Area, or MIRA. And it's miles and miles and miles of trails for running. And I went up there and I'm running around, and now I'm losing my train of thought, but I was thinking about, what were we talking? We were thinking about I was thinking about where are we at today when we're in war and we're fighting? It's like, what are we doing? Because I believe that the working class people like myself and you guys, we don't want to fight. I mean, nobody wants to fight. I think it's really just I think it's a bunch of government stuff. I think it's just all WWF wrestling. I think it's all created. And I think they've been working on it long enough. They have enough people in government now in all these different countries. I think it's all a coordinated effort. And then who actually fights the war? It's like us, right? See, I'm getting way off topic here, but that's what I was thinking about. It's just it's this whole thing about equality. I mean, we're done with wars. Men and women are equal. It's just whatever. Let's stop fighting. Let's just get along, for God's sakes. We got to get back to community. And one of the reasons I left Portland is because it's just turned into an absolute shit show. Tent city everywhere, garbage, trash, urine, feces all over, masks, needles. It's really gross. So I moved over to Eastern Oregon to get away from it. Now I'm running up in the mountains. Now I get to talk to people like Jill. And I'm just really glad that she's out there doing that and helping people, because there are a lot of widows out there, and a lot of them just don't trust guys. Maybe they didn't even have a good relationship with their husband, right? Or they didn't like the guy that the husband had picked. So I'm really glad that there's more opportunity for women to look for a financial advisor that is a woman. If I was a woman, maybe I would feel more comfortable with a woman gynecologist too. So, it just kind of depends. But at the end of the day, it's really down to, is that person a good person? Will they produce results for me? I really don't care the color of their skin or their gender at all. It's just about, do I like them? Do I trust them? Do they do a good job for me? And I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, I think that's a good time to segue. So we'll take a quick break, and Richard, we'll be right back with Jill Carr from Stevens Wealth Management Group. We'll be right back.
You want the absolute best for yourself, and you want it to be easy. That's why we created Green 85. It helps with detoxifying the body gently. We're proud it's chemical-free, unlike almost all other supplements you'll find. Bottom line, Green 85 will get you healthier. We look forward to hearing what Green 85 did for you.
To get this product and our other amazing products, go to chemicalfreebody.com. That's chemicalfreebody.com.
What's up, Enrichers? Tim James here. I'm back with my co-host Carter Wilcoxon. Today in the house, we've got Jill Carr. If I pronounced her name on the way out wrong, we were all laughing about it, so it's human error. I am human. Jill, hey, this is the point where we get to flip the script and you get to ask me questions on health, because it is the Health and Wealth podcast. And health is first, by the way, because it's super important.
Yes.
Because without it, what doesn't matter how much money you got. It doesn't really matter, right? So what questions do you have for me for yourself, friends, family member, community health, public health? What do you got?
Oh gosh. Yeah. So um
And and if you wanted to,
Could
we
be
could
any
talk,
problems or solutions, just any problems you might want to solve, anything like
yeah,
that.
we could talk a little bit about the fact that you were excited, Tim, the fact that we're actually speaking with someone who lives in Flint, Michigan, and you do talk about.
Oh, I plan on bringing that up.
Yeah, I knew you were going to bring that up, so I didn't know if that was something that you wanted to segue into right now, or if that's something that Jill might have a question around the water in Flint, Michigan.
Well, yeah, Jill,
Sure.
did you end up drinking some of that dirty, nasty
I have a
water?
question around this. So yes, I not only our office is in Flint, but it's not in Flint City, but I live in the city of Flint. So I definitely was exposed to the whole water crisis thing. And my husband will tell you that we can remember exactly when they switched it over, because all of a sudden the water had like a weird smell to it. It was just so different. I mean, a lot of people reported like discolored water coming out of their sinks and showers and stuff. We didn't necessarily have the discoloration, but
Do
definitely.
you remember why that happened? What caused it? You know what caused it?
Oh, I did, because we switched. Like, my husband will blame the city of Detroit because they increased their prices to City of Flint, because we used to get our water from the city of Detroit.
Yep.
And then they decided to save money and try to use the Flint River water instead. And ultimately they didn't treat it, the way they're supposed to. So it's highly corrosive if you're not treating it with stuff. So it got all these pipes that were, older than dirt and were lead pipes, and that's got the lead leaching into the water.
Yep. Yeah. So did they ever finish that water pipeline from Lake Huron to replace that whole mess?
No, not yet. That is still, I don't actually know how that's going, but I know we just ended up getting our water back from the same source. So
yes, I remember like what you were talking about. There was lots of residents who were talking about their water looked like smelled foul. It was like discolored, and the city officials were like, nope, water's safe, no problem, nothing to see here. And then you know what happened? Bottoms up working class movement, a bunch of pissed off people went and took action on their own, and they had, I think it was Virginia Tech, is that right?
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
They conducted it. They did it themselves. They went out and got a study done at Virginia Tech, and they collected like 250 samples from homes or more, and over 17% of them were over the federal action level of like 15 parts per billion, which corrective action must be taken immediately. And over 40% of the homes measured over 5 parts per billion of lead. So that's a very, very serious problem. But that was just one problem with the water. Was the lead, right?
Right.
And there was over like almost 10,000 children that were like kids that were contaminated from that water for drinking it for about almost 20 months, something like that. But there was actually the third largest outbreak of Legionnaire's disease, which is a form of pneumonia. In the history of U.S. history. They also had they discovered fecal coliform bacteria in the water, and they figured that was a likely result of the city's failure to maintain sufficient chlorine in its water, which drives me crazy because that's a toxin, which screws up your thyroid, ladies, by the way, and less breast cancer issues. And so they didn't have enough chlorine in there to kill this coliform bacteria, so that was a problem. But then when they started blasting the water with chlorine, it created a new problem, which is elevated levels of are called they're called, if I can pronounce it, it's like trihalomethanes, like TTHMs. They're like cancer-causing chemicals that are byproducts of the chlorination of water. So I mean, just genius. So there's so much other ways to clean water. It's like, why do we have to chemical everything? It's just so fucking stupid. Sorry. It's unbelievable that they are pumping this stuff into children. And it just, you and, you know, adults and everybody, grandmas and moms. So I don't know what happened, but I know there's a lot of lawsuits and stuff like that. I don't ever want it happening to that. I didn't keep following it, but where do you get the water now?
Like the class action lawsuit is coming to a head this year. So they just extended the deadline. It was like this month where you had to have your claims in, but then they extended it now, I think, to July. So and they've kind of broken it down to like children, and then if you own property, and business owners and stuff. So yeah, there's no resolution with that. They did prosecute some people, you know, and are trying to get people criminal charges against that, but I think that's still pending too, with the trials on that. So
yeah.
Like
yeah, and the city officials are probably, you know, they're still hiding behind their protections and stuff like that as the government or government officials. It's actually the government officials. They're, you know, I think that just like the school board members, when we were talking about masks, if you sign something into law that you know, knowingly, or you even have the information on, but you didn't take action on it, then you should avail yourselves of qualified immunity, and you should be able to be sued personally without the protection of qualified immunity. But anyway, okay, so Flint, Michigan, we're up to date now. I'm up to date, so thanks for that. I really appreciate it. But you know, it's not an isolated incident. This is all over the place. All the water's polluted everywhere. It just was more there, and it just, I know, obviously is made world news for that. So when people refer to crappy water, that congratulations, Jill, they talk about your town. It's just crazy.
Right. I mean, we had like a mayoral change during the whole deal, that the second mayor that we had really did a good job of bringing it to national attention. Because I think before that, people weren't listening, you know, and the previous mayor was not listening. And then also we had an emergency manager, which kind of added to the problem, you know, who's on
an
first.
Unelected official, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So like, what's going on, and no one's paying any attention, and we're just trying to save some money. And but yeah, so like our second mayor got, you know, she started bringing in celebrities and stuff that, you know, called attention to it, which was good, because then people started listening finally. Like, hey, these blood tests in the children, you know, are demonstrating very high lead levels. Like, you should pay attention to this. I don't care what your, you know, crazy government stuff is telling us. That's not right. So
yeah, smoke and mirrors.
Right.
So did you have any other health questions for me personally? Did you have any personal issues you wanted to work on, or?
Well, a follow-up on like the water stuff. So I will say that my family drinks exclusively and cooks with bottled water, you know, has for years, because of this whole deal. You know, they've said now, like, oh, it's okay to use your faucets, you know, with a filter or whatever, but we never did that. We had a filter in our fridge, it got corroded, our dishwasher got corroded, you know, we don't trust it. So
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, probably not going to trust it, even if they tell us it's fine. But so my question is, are we missing out? Because aren't there like minerals and things that you would get from having city water or whatever, you know, faucet water, as opposed to bottled water? Like, are we missing something by just drinking bottled water?
Well, it all depends. If the water was purified or it was just filtered. So filtration is, like, again, the analogy is like, it's like putting a sock in a river and taking out some of the stuff, right? But a purification unit, it's all getting cleaned. All of it gets cleaned. And the way the water is today, I believe in triple purification, because when you run it through a purifier, whether it's reverse osmosis or distillation or deionization, whichever, you're going to pull out about 90% of those contaminants each time you run it through. So you got 10% left, it's toxic. Run it through again, you got 1% left. Run it through again, you got 0.1. That's how you get 99.9% purified water. That's step one. Number two, you want to get that water restructured if you're on city tap water, because the high pressure city pipes are going to kind of coagulate the water molecules from a 4 or 5 cluster to a 20 to 25, and that's going to turn them into bowling balls on the micro level. So Imagine a bowling ball trying to get through a chain link fence. Chain link fence is your intestinal lining. The bowling ball is the water. That's city tap water. It's too big. So it needs to be restructured. So first off, you guys are doing bottled water, probably in plastic.
Yes.
Plastic is off-gassing xenotoxins. Not BPA was outlawed, but there's 37 of them. So
Sure.
you're putting toxic chemicals into your body every time you drink out of plastic. There's no way around it. Okay. And it's one of those things you can't see it, but it's bioaccumulating the fat tissue, the muscle tissue, and the blood, the brain tissue, right? It's in there. So I believe today the water has got to be clean, number one. It has to be restructured. Now, as far as minerals and stuff go, you can, that stuff's going to get taken out of there. But the reality is you need clean water. You need clean water that your body can absorb. And if you're eating a healthy diet and supplementing properly, you're going to get plenty of minerals. But what you can do is you can buy like mineral drops, and you can put them in. Or what I do is I just drink a bunch of water and I just take a little Himalayan salt, put it under my tongue. There's minerals in that too. We also have minerals in what we have called, there's minerals in a lot of our stuff, but we have a new product called V-Stack, and it's a complete multi-mineral formula. But it also has like vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, quercetin, that kind of stuff. If you replace it with, just make sure you're getting your minerals and stuff from other places. I don't think it's a big deal. But I think what is a big deal is polluted water or water that's not restructured, because you can drink, even if you clean it up, you drink a lot of it, and it's just going to go through you, right? We want it to get into the lymphatic system and the cardiovascular system and get into the cells, because your cells actually need it. Here's the deal. 95% of us are not drinking enough water to be healthy. If you're not drinking enough water, your IQ drops, like literally. Your brain doesn't, you like literally lose IQ, energy goes down, your ability to burn fat goes down, your ability to push toxins out of your body, and we really have a toxic world today. You know, you want to talk about, you were talking about children and blood tests. Every single child being born today, they've tested, I've seen since 2005, has over 250 toxic chemicals in them, and 180 cause cancer in humans. It's in the umbilical cord blood. And guess where that umbilical cord blood also is? It's in that young mom. Right. So the youngest of us that are supposedly the healthiest, and these young babies are born completely toxic and polluted. And it's gotten so bad today that, children are actually being born with cancer today. I mean, that's where we're at. Imagine the state of affairs and how bad our toxic environment is, that our children are now, our offspring have cancer. It's like, man, we've got to pause for a moment. We can't just be getting the run around by government officials. Working class people have to put an end to it. And the way to do it is start on the micro level with yourself. And if you think of your body as an intelligent system where you have input, output, right? Did you take any engineering classes at all when you were there?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so transport, conversion, and storage, you understand those components. Well, an intelligent system also has what? It's got a sensor. Is this working or not? Right? And that's really easy. All you got to do to tell if your inputs are working is look in the mirror and ask yourself also, how do you feel when you wake up? How are your energy levels when you at the end of the day? How well do you sleep? So an intelligent system, which we kind of get so busy in our lives, we forget to be intelligent, and we just kind of drift through life, right? Sure. I'll deal with that later. That whole health thing, and until the wheel falls off, and then you're like, and then you go into Western medicine, which is a broken system. They'll give you more pills and stuff like that. So if you understand this as an intelligent system, you notice that the sensor's picking up, it's not where you want to be. Now you have to use your controller to change the inputs. And the first input we have people change is your air quality, because that's, you take 20,000 breaths a day. Number 2 would be your water. So if you're going to be around tomorrow and breathe some air and drink some water, why not make sure that you're getting your water right and your air right? Those would be 2 really main inputs to get fixed. Now, the first one doesn't cost a whole lot, keeping your air clean, because you can start cracking your windows in your home, even especially at night when you're sleeping. You can get an air purification system. We have them on our website now. They're like $850, and they are awesome. I went through all the air systems, and I really like that one. It's a beast. It's like a little, almost like an industrial unit at home. It doesn't have a bunch of fancy stuff. It just has a lot of good guts inside of it to clean the air, right? bunch of different filters, HEPA filters, carbon matrix, zeolites, all this stuff. Picks up the carpet. Do you have carpet in your house, by the way?
We're mostly hardwood floors.
Oh, good. Yeah, because carpet, if it's synthetic, it's off-gassing formaldehyde, and you're breathing it in, embalming yourself on a micro level. Think about that. Somebody told me that, like, oh, would you like this carpet or that carpet? You know, it's like this one's wool, and it's $5 a square foot, and this one's $1.50 a square foot, but it's synthetic. Well, I can only afford the $1.50. Well, this one will off-gas formaldehyde into your body every day for the rest of your life as you breathe it. Yeah, I'm not buying that.
Right.
But they don't tell you that. And I bet most of the people working at those places don't even know. That's the reality.
For sure.
Information like this is not out there. You have to figure it out yourself. So if you can get your air right and you get your water right, that's probably the most biggest investment is getting the, because if you do it like I have right now, it's about $7,000, 2 systems. And then you're freaking dialed. Not only do you have water that's clean, that's restructured, but you're high on water like all day. Like high. Like super high functioning energy. It's good for your cells. I mean, it's unbelievable. But in the beginning, people on a budget can start by just getting gallon glass jars and going to their local store and getting at least single purified water for 25 to 50 cents a gallon.
Right.
That's what I'd recommend. And then other than that, if people are, I've mentioned her before, you can go to mypurifiedwater.com, talk to my friend Danusha and get your water right. Because she's the one that sold me my machine that restructures my water and charges it with molecular hydrogen. It's quite cool. And I put it behind a triple purifier. So I triple purify my water. It's like this 16-stage system. And then I restructure it, alkalize it, and then charge it with molecular hydrogen. So, whoa, I mean, that's a lot. But guess what? Once it's in place, all you got to do is just drink it. That's it. Just pour it and drink it, pour it and drink it. You have an endless supply. So, and if we figured this out. If you go buy bottled water, not only are you like putting just so much plastic out there, and part of the problem that's killing our planet, literally plastic's going to kill the planet, is that it's going to save you way more money in the long run, and your water is going to be like 100 times better. Not even close. So now, you being an intelligent system, now you're putting a very high quality input into your life and your family's life, just by simply getting that stuff set up, right? Real simple. But a lot of people are not paying attention to this stuff. But we've seen people that had health issues, and it was a lot of time. It was the water. Change the water, everything changes for them because their water was contaminated. But you can't see it because it's microscopic. But it's a problem. It really is a problem.
Right.
Did you have any other questions for me about anything in health?
I mean, I just always need motivation to do better.
In regards to health?
Yeah, like what would you have for tips on fast meals, like fast meal prep for busy families?
Okay. Well, number one, eating lower on the food chain. So we would buy stuff in bulk to save a ton of money, actually, because eating healthy is eating lower on the food chain. The more people that have messed with your food in between you and Mother Earth, the less quality you're going to get, and it's not going to be good. So for food prep is, it's you can make certain things in bulk, right? Or buy things in bulk. And, maybe you make a big, huge soup or something. And then you guys can have that 2 or 3 times that week. Right. It's simple. We show people how to make little healthy snacks. Something like just chopping up celery and having some almond butter with it, or walnut butter. Sprouted almond butter, sprouted walnut butter. And then it's like 100, 800 times more nutritious. Think about that. That's like a big deal.
Okay.
100 to 800 times more nutritious by eating sprouted almond butter rather than just regular almond butter. That's a big deal. An intelligent system would say, wow, that's a good input. We also do cucumbers and like hummus. That's a real quick one. Chop, 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 chop. And then scoop and go, right? There's you can actually take almond butter, mix toasted carob powder in it with some Stevita brand stevia and a little bit of alcohol-free vanilla flavoring, stirred up. Now you've got like chocolate. It just turns into chocolate, and you can put that on green apples for a snack because the green apples are lower in sugar. They're kind of tangy, right? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of cool. So those are just some things, just cucumbers and hummus or some type of dip, celery. And I mean, you could put the nut butter on that too. You could definitely put, the nut butter on the celery. I think I said that. Not peanut butter. We try to stay away from that because of the inherent mold that are in peanuts because they grow in the ground. It's called an aflatoxin. You can look it up. It's a carcinogen. It causes cancer. And I found that out after I ate like 3 million peanut butter and jelly sandwiches growing up.
Right? Who didn't?
Oh God, those things are good. But I just, what? I've had a lot of people die of cancer in my life. I've been sick before, and I don't ever want to get operated on again. So I just it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. When I get this momentary pleasure trap snap, and then it's gone, and then half the time I'm like, oh, what did I do that for? And then I got to pay the price for it for hours, and then the rest of my life. So it's about the quality of life. But there's that. Yeah, I would just say, making things in bulk is good. How many kids do you have?
2 kids.
How old are they?
13 and 9.
Okay. Are they involved in the food making?
Not so much, no.
That's what I would do. Mama
Okay.
bear has to teach baby bear how to take care of herself and take the load off of mama bear too. Because
Right.
you want to give them those permission slips so they can be able to do that. Because what's happening today is we try to do everything for everybody else, and you end up handicapping them because then they're like 21 and they don't even know how to change their oil in their car.
Right.
Like literally, I'm not going to say who it is, but there was a guy that went to school down at University of Oregon, and his mom would drive down from Portland 2.5 hours to take his car to get the oil changed at like a Jiffy Lube. Like he couldn't do it himself because he was so incapable.
Forget about changing.
It used to be back in the day. I mean,
himself.
Yeah.
what's that?
I said, forget about changing it himself. He couldn't even take it himself. That's crazy.
That
It's
is
stupid.
crazy.
But I mean, that's just to prove a point of where we're at today with parenting. When we've got to step it up, and kids have got to go down and fall out there and fall on their face and learn. But we can show them. We have to get back to apprenticeship, and you can make it fun. So if you can get excited about the process, which is what's going to have to happen, everybody else is going to win. Your husband, the kids, and you can make it a fun process because now it can be something you guys can do together rather than mom running around killing herself trying to fit it in and take care of everybody else, and they leave messy plates.
For sure. Yeah.
When I tell my clients that pay me when they're happy about their children, I'm like, what you should do is make a a couple ways of doing it. You can either just keep 4 plates, put the rest of them away, and you put a plate on and put their name on the bottom, or you actually go out somewhere and you get a plate, a bowl, a fork, a knife, and a spoon, and they're all customized. And like, here's your plate, here's your fork, it's yours. You're responsible for it, not me. And you teach them how to do, clean it, take care of it. And rather than just like, oh yeah, blah, 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 and they eat and they leave in a big freaking mess. It's more work for you.
Right.
Right. But
Yeah.
the big mess is when they turn 21 and they go out on their own. Now they're a big mess because they never got to do it. And you ended up killing yourself to get them to the point where they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I think about that a lot, actually, that we need to get our kids more involved in things specifically for that reason. Like someday they're going to be adults out in the world and they need to know how to do stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah. And there are going to be days, maybe you're going to get the sniffles and be in bed for a couple of days. They should be able to take care of themselves. Back in the day, I was reading this book by Ann Wigmore. She's the gal who started the Hippocrates Health Institute where I started my transformation. And that actually might be a good thing for you and your family to do. You and your husband and your kids just go to Hippocrates for the life transformation program. Just go there and you will never be the same. Not only will you feel 30 years younger when you leave, but the kids and everybody, they kind of get it and everybody else is doing it. It's just not crazy mom or crazy dad trying to get me to do this. It's like, whoa. It's like, and the proof's in the pudding because everybody that's been working there that's on the program is super healthy looking. They look like 10, 20 years younger than their age.
nice.
And it's worked well for me too, because let's see, what is today? Today's the 23rd. I will be 49 years old in about 14 days, but I feel like I'm 18. And when I was 37, I felt like I was 80. So, right.
Yeah.
I was a mess, like literally internally, externally. I was rotting from the inside out. And I thought I was an athlete still because that's what I was when I was younger, but I drifted away from that. Now I'm like, Saturday I went trail running and I was just like, there was this trail where there was like it's a mountain bike trick thing where they come down. There's like swoops and stuff they build up and jumps. And I was running up that thing and down it. And I was running, pretending like I was like a bicycle, and I was jumping off the jumps, and I'm freaking 49 years old. And I was having a blast up there like a kid, right? I couldn't do that 11 years ago. I just couldn't have done it. I couldn't even have made it, Carter. I couldn't even have made it like not even an eighth of the way up the hill without being completely exhausted.
Sure.
That track. And I was running all over the place. In fact, I took a wrong turn at Albuquerque and I had to turn around and come back. So I had put an extra half a mile on my little trip that I had planned out. But we deserve this. Our creation doesn't make mistakes. You're here for a reason. And you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be healthy. You should sleep well. You should have good, clean food, good, clean water, and good, clean air. These are all your given birthrights. But in the polluted world we live in today, as an intelligent system, you're going to have to create your environment for you and your family in your home. And, that's exactly what I do for a living, is like I've created my own environment, and then I teach other people how to do it so they don't have to spend, buy 6 water systems to end up with the 2 that I got, right? I can just go there, right? And then if I find something else later better, then maybe we'll switch it. But right now it's pretty good, right? Or go get this air system, or, try this or do that. It's just pretty simple, and it just works for people. People are looking for that. So good questions. And I hope that you do that. Jill, I hope you put yourself first and lead by example, because Mama Bear is really important for the kids to teach them those skills. You have to get into transfer skills and apprenticeship mastery, and that's what parenting's all about. Don't try to do everything and shoulder all that stuff. It's good for them to do it. It's really good.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah. Hey, Enrichers, I just want to say thank you so much. Tim and I have been doing this podcast now. I can't even believe it, Tim. We've almost 60 episodes have been launched, if you can believe that, right? So we really appreciate you joining us for another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast. And to be able to see all of our previous guests, like the wonderful Jill Carr from Stevens Wealth Management, you can go to our website at www.thehealthandwealthpodcastshow.com, and make sure to like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, or Google. So for my fantastic co-host, Mr. Chemical Free Body himself, Tim James, and Jill Carr of Stevens Wealth Management, I am Carter Wilcoxon, CEO and founder of CSI Financial Group, wishing you all a wonderful and spectacular and an abundant week. And until next time, we will see you on the Health and Wealth Podcast. Again, Jill, thank you so much for joining us and being a guest on our show today. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here. It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. Until next time, Enrichers, we will see you on the Health and Wealth Podcast. Thank you, everybody. Hey, Enrichers. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Carter Wilcoxon.
And I'm your host, Tim James. And by God, we are committed to helping you guys have fat wallets, flat bellies. So tune in again for another episode, and make sure to like, share, and drink a lot of water.
Or beer.
You have just listened to the Health and Wealth Podcast with Carter and Tim.